Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we are in Storage Room Q. The storage rooms on the battleship are all lettered, and we're in one of several dozen large storage compartments on the ship. Iowa-class battleships were designed to operate for about 30 days without needing to resupply, which means not only carrying the fuel, but also the food, the spare parts, everything that they need. And keep in mind, Iowa-class battleships do not operate independently, so oftentimes they're not just carrying their own ship's supplies, they may have spares that the rest of their task force can use as well. These spaces are really interesting and unfortunately largely not on the tour route. They tend to be concentrated outside of the armored part of the ship, forward of bulkhead 50 and aft of bulkhead 166, which are the forward and aft armored bulkheads that make up the Citadel. These unarmored spaces sometimes are just large open rooms where you're doing bulk storage. Sometimes it's like Q here, where we've got small drawers like this. Directly below us is another similar space, but it's got like long flat drawers. So obviously they're storing specific things in specific places. This space is also interesting because it shows a change that comes around right at the end of the ship's career, which is adding the barcodes to everything. So these show up very, very late. We don't see them in any pictures of these supply spaces, but just about every shelf and drawer has its own barcode. So they had installed some sort of computerized, presumably, system for where things were being stored. And I imagine that was a huge project for the supply department to knock out once upon a time, very close to the end of the ship's career. And it's interesting to see that efficiency was something that they were always working towards, even right up at the end, as the ship is growing older, and you know it's not going to be in service forever, but they're continuing to improve the way those supplies work. The supply spaces all tend to be accessed via vertical trunks. If you go into the armored Citadel, you can go from space to space to space pretty easily, at least on third deck. But forward and aft of the Citadel, you have a series of watertight trunks that are 7 stories tall that they do not have access doors forward or aft. They are exclusively, you've got to go down a ladder, and then if I need to go to the storage space just forward of here, I have to go back up the ladder to second deck, over, and then back down again. I've often wondered how things were stored before the barcodes were added, because each room has a letter designator, so the supply officer can be like, hey, go throw this in compartment Q, go throw this in compartment L, whatever the case is. And it seems a lot like an Amazon warehouse in that all the drawers in this space are this size. So they're storing things based on size. Like I said, the space down below has long, relatively flat pull drawers. So it seems to be largely the supply department storage is going to be based on the size of the object. That said, food is stored separately. That's all back aft in a series of compartments. There are refrigerated and unrefrigerated storage spaces back there. And division-specific spare parts are also stored separately. So like the gunnery division parts are stored in one of the gunnery division spaces. They're not stored in one of the lettered storage spaces. So up above, I just questioned, I wonder how they mark these before the barcodes, but clearly they had an alphanumeric system on at least some of these. These don't show up on the drawers up above, but they are all over the shelves down here. We're one space below the space where we were before, down the same trunk. So I don't have to climb all the way back up the second deck and back down again, guys. I do enough climbing on these bad knees. I've never done the math before, but feel free to throw out a guess of how many tons of supplies you think the battleship would have needed to carry for a crew of about 2,000 people for a month. Let us know in the comment section down below. We are about 45,000 tons dead weight, about 57,500 tons fully loaded, and there's about 8,000 tons of fuel in there. So presumably much of the remaining stuff is split between ammunition and your food and spare parts. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, subscribing so more people find about us and the channel. Thanks for watching.